world becomes a little nicer place here, away from the crowd, close to the real thing. For over 60 million Americans, fishing means the challenge of nature and the opportunity to get back in touch with the feelings that motivate you.
There you go, I got another one. You know, folks, to catch fish like this with some consistency all across the country in lakes, rivers, or reservoirs, spring, summer, or fall, it takes a pretty good understanding of versatility. That's right, versatility. It's one of the keys to fishing success. In today's In-Fisherman specials, we stress how important versatility can be for any kind of fish. Anytime you hear somebody say, hey, I'm catching a lot of bass in this part of the country doing this, I guarantee you with a little bit of imagination, it'll work in your area too. Take a look at what we got for you today. On today's show, Larry Dahlberg pushes back the boundaries of fly fishing with giant tarpon. Hey, they're your fish. Should they be managed for quality or quantity? Tracking down bass with tournament pro Paul Elias. A profile of legendary muskie angler Len Hartman. Dan Sura and Jim Linder hunt big lake trout. I'll be showing you some keys to pinpointing the walleyes on your favorite walleye water right after this.
Quiet. That's the reason I use Minn Kota trolling motors. But I never used foot pedals until they invented this power drive motor with its micro-touch remote control. Now I can stand on both feet and run my Minn Kota power drive with a touch of my toe. Hey, that's a breakthrough in bass boat control. The Minn Kota power drive is a remote control motor I've wanted for a long time with a quiet power that catches fish.
In recent tests, Mercury Bass engines placed first in top speed, acceleration, and fuel efficiency. Proof that we build engines for two types of fishermen. Those who love to win and those who hate to lose.
Get the Daiwa AG Series rods and reels exclusively at your local coast-to-coast stores. The spinning reel features auto cast bail, rear drag, interchangeable handle, and rugged aluminum construction. The spin cast reel boasts all metal gearing, smooth dial drag, and oversized line guide. Coast has Daiwa AG Series rods in a full range of spinning, spin cast, bait cast, and fly models. Now available at these low prices.
The nice thing about a Mariner outboard is that it starts when you need it. And it lasts for years. Even decades. Which is more than you can say for some things you own. Mariner outboards. Better in the long run.
Let's join Al Lindner and Gary Roach, who are working a bypass pattern for walleyes on natural lakes.
Good one?
Good fish, yeah. Yeah, good fish.
Oh, she's running up on it.
Yeah, she's a good fish.
Is it netter, Walter?
Yeah, it could be a netter, Al.
I like what I'm seeing.
He's coming, he's swimming up. Look there, look at there. Yeah, this feels like a dandy, Al.
Your other rod is out of the way?
Oh, that's a nice fish.
Good one. All right.
Nice fish.
Bring her in here. Get her. Come here. Roger, we've been smoking fish like this in here. I mean, smoking them. Oh, come on, baby. I'll give you the old guide's treatment.
Hey.
I'll take care of her for you.
I like it. No matter what anybody says about you, Al, this is wrong.
Huh? Folks, what we've been doing for the last couple days, we've been fishing walleyes in transition areas. We've been catching crappies, northerns, smallmouth bass. It's fall, and on many, many good walleye lakes, transition areas are the key spots on structures. These are hard bottom areas that transition into soft bottom. And they're at many different depth levels in a lake. Hey, these transition areas in August and Canadian lakes are absolutely deadly. We're going to teach you some things about concentrating and understanding transition areas that'll help you catch a lot more walleyes this year.
Get me back on him, Al. I'm getting warmed up now.
First off, let's define a transition. It's an abrupt change from a hard to soft bottom. An example would be gravel to mud or rock to mud. The depth change associated with these transitions is often subtle and it's overlooked by most walleye fishermen. These transition areas are formed by natural aging of the lake. Here's what I mean. Years ago, this point, basin, and hump would have been all hard bottom areas. As the lake naturally ages, silt settles into basin areas and slowly fills in and forms these hard bottom, soft bottom transitions. There he is, Roach. I'm under the, okay, I got him. Weird position, I'm underneath the boat. Ooh, it's a good one. It's a good walleye. Yeah, good walleye, Roach. That's all right, I got her. Okay, I got it. Just stay on it. Just stay on that deep edge. I'm telling you, those deep transitions off of here have been popping them. We had to fish earlier in those shallow transitions. This was deep. I'm talking where she transitions out like from 28 to, I'm guessing, 30 feet of water. Okay. You know, some of those fish were in, oh, look at that. Good fish, man, big fish.
I'll throw you in a net, huh?
Nah, I don't know. Let me get a look at her here. Oh, nice one. Look at it. All right. I got an Oregon. Oh, I got it, Roach. Look at that. Weird position here. Big old jig bounced down there. I've seen a few fish.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what, folks. The thing that you got to understand with transitions, these transitional changes, is that they change on every piece of structure. The transition here, the hard bottom transition on the point we're on here, goes from like 28 feet of water and hits in at 30. Some transitions further up in a bay, we're catching walleyes in 12 feet of water, where the hard bottom just turns to soft bottom. The key is concentrating on these transition areas. They change on each structure. You want this one to take home with you? All right, here.
Yeah, I
got
think
her?
We'll take one of them home, or Hal. Okay. Want to put a little water in here?
Looking at a contour map, you can see these bottom transitions happen at different depths depending on where you're at in any particular body of water. Here in a deep section of the lake, a rock and mud transition occurs at 35 feet. In a shallow section of the same lake, a rock and mud transition is in 12 feet of water. Each area is different and has to be looked at independently. Your LCR, flasher, or paper graph are your eyes to interpret the bottom and the transition changes. Here we're driving over a soft bottom. The reading is dim. As we move over a hard bottom, the signal will get distinctly larger. A second echo reading will appear, which is exactly double your depth. Notice that there's little depth changes at all from the soft to hard bottom areas. When you're looking at your LCR, see how thin it is here? This is your soft bottom. Now watch when we start hitting hard bottom. Okay, see how it's starting to darken up? We're hitting the hard bottom readings right now. There's your difference. Soft mud bottom, solid hard bottom. And there's your dropper just crawling up.
I'll put a trawler on once and just see what happens.
Good try. Got a bunch of bait hanging in here, Gare. I see a bunch of bait.
Is it on the edge?
Yeah. It's real typical this time of the year, folks, for these fish on these deeper transition areas, this stuff in 25 to 35 feet of water, to really get active in the afternoon after that sun gets up and it kind of warms the water up, especially on a calm, clear day like this. And earlier, late in the day, a lot of times you want to check out those shallower transition areas where you have hard bottom transitioning. Say, got him, Roach? 12 to 15 feet. Good fish.
Drag line out of the way, Al. He popped it good.
Man.
That orange is definitely working, eh?
It's working. Let me get this one line out of here.
That's a good idea you had coming out here and finding this deep fish. A lot of that boat traffic spooks some shallow transition fish right out. Ooh, that's a nice fish. Look at that baby. As long as I can see it, she can swim away. That's a beauty.
I can't swim it away. We won.
Ah, that's a beauty.
You can release her.
I'm just gonna hold her. I want to watch her. There we go. Ooh. Oh. Man, we couldn't have picked a more perfect time to come over here and fish these big walleye. I think I can picture it. Oh, that's a nice fish. Oh, wow. There, she shook the hook out by herself. I'll tell you what, folks. You fish the transition line between the hard bottom and the soft bottom in the fall of the year, deep or shallow, you can catch beauties just like this. What a great fish.
After these words, line stretching lake trout.
I mean, I wish I could hand you the rod to hang out of this thing. It's... Oh.
Bet you can't find me.
It teases.
La la, bet you can't get me.
It torments.
You are fat ugly.
Until finally someone loses his temper. The foxy jig, just begging for trouble.
Come on into Coast to Coast.
New 4 Series tackle boxes feature exclusive single-sided storage in a variety of sizes and versatility in a compact space. Tackle boxes for every fishing need, from $349 to $19.99. Weigh 'em and fillet 'em with Normark. Normark's state-of-the-art digital scale with easy readout, only $29.99. Make fish cleaning a snap with Normark's fish glove, hardwood fillet board, quality fillet knife, and sharpener, all for just $24.99.
And there's your change, sir. Here, let me put this in a bag for you. You know, they made this reel a whole lot tougher. Probably outlived the both of them. Say, friend, have I seen you someplace before?
He's back. And this time, he's got a reel. The Zebco 33. Now, it's Rhino tough.
Introducing a breakthrough in fish finder technology. No, back over here, this. An index finger. Because this is all you'll need to operate these. The new bottom lines with single control operation. One button, one finger. Couldn't be easier. Single control operation. It means if you want to spend more time fighting fish and less time fighting your fish finder, bottom line is the one.
Yeah, back up on him. Boy, these big Lakers, they pull like freight trains. Boy, it's hard to tell. Well, it's hard to tell when they sound. I mean, it's like hooking your lure to a Volkswagen, you know? It's, oh, I mean, this fish is heavy.
That fish was really tight on the edge of that drop where it rolled from 7 to 40. Really tight.
I mean, I wish I could hand you the rod to hang out of this thing. It's all I can do to snub them.
Kick the boat forward, just...
No, we're fine, James. We're fine. I'd rather drift out over the deep water here. And these things slug it out deep. We can't get in any trouble. There's no way to lose them except break the line.
Let's see this.
Look at him!
How big is he?
Oh, he's big. Big! Wow! This is what we came up here for, Jim.
Ooh, look at him. Look at him. Is that a beautiful fish?
Oh, my gosh.
Get her up on top. There you go.
Ooh. Horsey!
There you go.
He's going to dive. You ready to grab this?
I'm ready.
You ready to
get her up on top a
couple
more times? Is she ready? Is she still ready? Because I don't want to make sure she's bro. She's not hooked good either. She's not hooked good.
Then grab the fish.
She's not hooked good.
Grab the fish.
Come here. Well, she's not hooked. I'm not gonna. I just gotta get a grip on it. Come here, baby. I know. I got it. There we go. I got it. Come on, Tom. There we go. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Is that a beautiful fish? Look. Okay, let me get the hook out of her.
Here, I'll get the hook.
Okay, well, Is everything clear there, Dan, to measure this fish? Oh, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Oh. Look at that. Beautiful fish.
Beautiful.
Huh? Let's get a ruler.
Lake trout are the largest of all North American char. The rod and reel world record of 65 pounds was caught in Great Bear Lake, Northwest Territories, while a 102-pounder was taken in a gill net in Lake Athabasca, Saskatchewan. The lake trout's range is huge, covering the northern tier of the United States, plus the majority of Canada and Alaska. Nature decrees that most fish have about a 13-degree Fahrenheit optimum temperature band, which is the range best suited for a particular species of fish to function and be active in. For example, largemouth bass prefer 75 to 85 degree water, while lake trout will seek out temperatures in the 48 to 52 Fahrenheit range. This obviously forces lakers out of the shallows and upper layers of most lakes in summer into deeper water. The seasonal movement of lake trout is simplistic because of their cool water nature. From ice out to late spring, when water temperature is consistently below 55 degrees Fahrenheit, lake trout will roam the entire water column, concentrating wherever the most abundant food is available. Once the water temperature stratifies in summer, lake trout will be pushed into deeper water. Now in fall, the summer temperature stratification is broken and lake trout roam the entire water column again. Spawning takes place at this time on rock reefs, usually less than 40 feet of water.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Look at that. What a beautiful fish, huh? This fish is probably close to, this fish could be 50 years old, 50, 60 years old. One of the largest of the char family. Actually, they're not trout. There she goes. She's ready. A giant back to the depths, and there's bigger ones where that one came from.
One thing about these big lake trout, we're fishing them, and what up here is early fall. And they're up staging in kind of a pre-spawn condition, just ready to move up on these big reefs for spawning. And we're talking world-class fish. 60, 65-pound lake trout, does that interest you? James, are you interested in fish like that?
Yeah, there was one caught on the same spot, as a matter of fact. That was a world record last year. The same week, actually, or a week after this, and the fish was released. So there's still, you know, there's at least one fish, and if there's one the size of this body of water, there's quite a few of those size fish in here.
That's one important factor that we're finding out. To grow world-class fish, you've got to practice sensible catch and release. And most of these Canadian lodges are encouraging releasing fish, a critical factor for growing fish for the future. Speed is a critical factor. One, you get the lure wobbling properly. Secondly, it triggers fish. And you'll notice as we move along, Jim is turning, allowing one lure to travel a little slower and speeding the other one up. And possibly we take the rod every so often and give it a pull to get that lure moving. Lake trout are notorious followers, and sometimes just a slight trigger in speed, a little faster or a little slower, that fish will bite.
There's those boulders. Wait, no, I missed those. Wait, I think I had one just pop it. There, I got him. Whoa. Here, Dan.
I'm reeling.
Take command of the boat. I got him. Oh. Dan, you got to get on the boat here.
I got her.
He's a better fish, boy. Oh, man. Wait, back her down. Back her down. She's going. Good one. No question about it. Just burn in line when you just first hit it. Big fish. Look at that bull, man. Holy mackerel. Look at that size of that horse. Look at that. Oh. Boy, he hit it like 3 times before we hooked him.
By the tail.
Back here. A little bit easier to deal with. There we go. That's what I call a horse. There she go. Look at that beauty.
Gee, I don't know.
For more information on trophy lake trout fishing, call 1-800-665-0269 or write North of 60 Fishing Lodge, 1381 Aaron Street, Winnipeg, Manitoba, R3E 2S7, Canada.
Coming up, a fascinating profile of legendary muskie anglers Len and Betty Hartman.
Come on into Coast to Coast.
Humminbird, the leader in fish finding technology, offers the TCR 101, featuring a completely automatic high-resolution screen with digital depth readout and zoom, only $179.99. Also, check out the TCR ID1. Red dots indicate fish. Optional gauges display surface temperature and trolling speed. Features zoom, fully waterproof construction, backlighting, bottom alarm, and more. Only $289.99.
Coast to Coast.
Introducing the Rattlin' Wrap. With the sound no fish can resist.
Whatever Cannon's got, it's catching. You'll catch everything from kings to coho, from browns to lake trout, from walleye to stripers. Cannon, leaders in controlled depth fishing.
Come on into Coast to Coast.
Here's a new rod from Zebco that's designed to be as rough and tough as its namesake, the Rhino Rod. These rods have a strong fiberglass tip with fine-tuned actions for extra strength and power. The new Quantum Snapshot reel casts so fast, you'll surround the fish in no time. Its unique firing pin lets you cast faster and easier. Snapshot is the only reel you can cast without having to hold the line with your finger. Your choice, only $19.99.
Sports fans have argued for decades about who's really the best at any given sport. Most of these arguments can be resolved by looking at statistics generated over long periods of time. It's hard to argue about the home run record of Hank Aaron or the strikeout record of the legendary Nolan Ryan. But when it comes to fishing, statistics can be a little harder to come by. After all, not all fishermen fish tournaments. And in many cases, the solitary catch of one large record fish happens as a result of accident and luck. In muskie fishing, there are 4 people who stand head and shoulders above the rest. The husband and wife teams of Art and Ruth Lawton and Len and Betty Hartman, fishing New York's famed St. Lawrence River, have on record 13 muskies over 40, 13 over 50, and 10 over 60 pounds. That's 2 more muskies over 60 pounds than all the rest of the muskie fishermen in the world have caught combined. Although Art Lawton holds the record for the largest fish, a 69-pound, 15-ounce monster, Len Hartman and his wife Betty accounted for 6 of the 10 over 60, and Len alone absolutely dominates the line class records. 4-pound test, 42 pounds, 3 ounces. 6-pound test, 47 pounds, 1 ounce. 8-pound test, 59 pounds, 13 ounces. 10-pound test, 67 pounds, 15 ounces. 12-pound test, 61 pounds. Pretty impressive. The Hartman's fantastic records were all caught during the late 1950s and early 60s in the now famous St. Lawrence Seaway, which was then under construction to enable larger ships to travel the Great Lakes. Obviously, Len was on to something. He had located a large number of giant muskies and had also figured out how to catch them. Let's see if we can get him to talk.
Originally, I went up there working on the Seaway. I was a marine engineer, and I worked on the tugboats. And then when I seen the amount of fish that were in the area, the ones that were being killed by blasting and that, it kind of got me excited, especially when I started seeing the big fish. So then I made up my mind. I worked 1 year, but the second year I couldn't do it. I just quit my job and then went fishing. Did a little guiding on the side to make things go. What was happening, they were blasting the area and driving all these muskie from downriver up past where I was staying. and they were traveling through the area by the dozens. You could go out on a night, shine a light down in the water on the point and spot muskie swimming by going upstream. They were going into new areas because food fish were killed, and therefore they were traveling after new food fish. At first, when we started the fishing, we were getting a lot of muskie, but we weren't getting any big ones. We were just getting them small ones. So we worked on the idea that because of our casting and fishing this shallow water, maybe this was the answer. We didn't have the right approach to the bigger muskie. It's then that I got the idea of buying all the different manufactured lures I could and putting big metal lips on them to get them to dive deep. Well, some worked pretty good, but they came up with the idea that when you changed the lure from a shallow running lure to a deep diving lure, you lost action. So this is when I came up with the idea of developing my own lure. I made it short so you could just have two hooks, a tail hook and a belly hook, put a big lip on it so I could dive down. It wasn't long after we found that we had the lure that would go down, we found where the muskie were. They were all feeding on a 35-foot level on the shoals. They would come in there and feed on the bass, sunfish, stuff like that. So next thing you know, we were catching 30, 35, 40-pound muskie. Then we got to thinking in terms of where the bigger ones would be, and with a little experimenting, we found at the lower end of the islands and on the bottom side of the shoals in the river. Now, the river runs about 4 miles an hour, so what we had to do was do all our fishing downstream, because against the current, your lure had a tendency to lift up. But by fishing with the current, you could get your lure down to this level and you could catch fish. Our best year, we had 254 muskie between us. And that was the year that Betty got her big one, the 64.4. And I got to tell you a little something about that. Wring and wet, she probably weighed about 115 pounds. She went out by herself in the boat, hooked this muskie, knocked it over the head, gaffed it, and she couldn't pull it over the side of the boat. So she had to take the muskie and walk it to the back of the boat at the gunnel so she could get it over the low side and drag it into the boat. When we got back, I was guiding a party that day, and we had 2 small muskie, so we thought we were pretty good. We looked into her boat, and she had this one laying in the bottom of the boat. And I said, "Oh, I see you got one." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you weigh it in?" She said, "Yeah, I took it up the marina, weighed 64.4. Can you picture a woman, 115 pounds, landing a fish like that? She caught it on 12-pound test spinning line. That was quite a feat right there.
Will Len Hartman hook up with the 70-pound-plus giant he's been pursuing for 50 years? According to Len, it's just a matter of time. Who knows? It just might happen on the next trolling pass. For information about getting a copy of Len's memoirs detailing 50 years of total dedication to pursuit of the muskie, write Muskie Memories Press, Post Office Box 442, 274, Eden Prairie, Minnesota, 55347. Next up, largemouth bass.
Coming up on Sports Sunday.
TNN Sports has the word.
Let's face it, except for more time on the water, what can improve your fishing success? Now you can catch more tackle-busting fish like these. And you'll be a more successful fisherman with the In-Fisherman. It's more than a magazine. It's a teaching course that comes to your home packed with the scientific know-how, the charts, graphs, maps, and photographs, and the experience of the world's best anglers. The In-Fisherman is so good, it guarantees you'll catch more and bigger fish or your money back. From panfish to trout, lunker, bass to walleyes in rivers or lakes, the In-Fisherman will show you how, when, and where to catch fish. It's guaranteed. Call 1-800-255-2800 to get the next 6 big issues of In-Fisherman. Call now and choose one of these books from our Master Angler series free, the most advanced informative books on bass and walleye ever printed. Plus, you'll receive an In-Fisherman decal and this invaluable Secret Teachings Handbook, all for only $16. Call toll-free 1-800-255-2800.
You know, folks, on any given body of water, there's a lot of different areas that could hold bass. On certain days, you can catch bass all over the lake. On other days, only certain areas seem to be the most productive. And that's what you want to do when you're on the water. Key in on the most productive water as quickly as possible. The term is, hey, read water fast. I had an opportunity to hook up with bass fishing pro Paul Elias and Ricky Green here on the Arkansas River. We had to do a little work for Cajun Boat Company, and we found a little time to get out on the water and do a little fishing. Let me show you what we had to do to make contact. We started cranking key-looking structures along the river channel, figuring with a front coming in, the fish would be active and really hammer that crankbait. Well, after we hit quite a few different options, nothing happened. So we made a change to fish some spotted bass. We were running down the lake. We seen a couple spotted bass areas, and Paul says, let's see what those spots are doing. Give it a quick shot. Pulled in one area. There was a little water running by a rocky point of riprap, and bingo, just a couple casts. He hooks up on one decent spot. We figure, hey, maybe we got something going.
Okay. Been eating. There's Billy. They're pretty fish, aren't they?
To make a long story short, this pattern didn't hold up either. We made a decision to run down the reservoir and fish an entirely different kind of environment. You just keep checking those spots out, and I'm just going to get me a couple more of these for the road.
Well, you heck on this driving.
Man, it's fun. You know, we went through kind of a dry spell here this morning. Spending a little time up the part of the river here, not getting any bites, and I think it was a good decision to make a change of pace and make the run.
Said he's got me ready to catch one now.
It's been a long dry spell. We've been going through here, getting a few small white bass. These aren't small, well, these are small stripers, but they're not small fish. Anytime you start catching fish that size and they're biting pretty fast, it's kind of fun. Our initial plan was to come out this morning and do a crankbait show on bass. Now, Paul's reputation is geared toward crankbait fishing. We're going to share a bunch of ideas with you. And the fish weren't cooperating the way we wanted to catch them. Making a judgment call, a little while ago, Paul looks at his watch and he says, man, we got 3 hours going. We ain't got a fast bite. I can run 20 miles to here with a pre-front condition, get into some grass fish, and we'd get some buzzbait fish and some spinnerbait fish. Making a judgment call like that, in many cases, is the difference between having a successful day or a day that you might say, hey, the fish ain't biting. Oh, you better get that bait changed.
Anyway.
This is a good break on our way down for the blacks. Man, they're fast fish. Holy smokes. Looks like it. Yeah. Hey, this is kind of fun. Catching a bunch of stripers was fun for a while, and it kind of broke a long dry spell up, but we still didn't make contact with the largemouths that we were looking for. We're chunking it. This kind of water kind of gets your adrenaline going a little bit. It looks better. We had a total different change of water environment here. I mean, everything was different. Good shallow water cover. Good cover along the channel edges. We buzzed across the flats. We threw rats up inside the shallow water cover. We wormed the edge. We did a little of everything. And bingo, Paul made contact with what seemed like an exceptionally big fish.
Boy, there's too many stumps in there. Oh, what is that?
Big drum. Is it a drum?
It's a drum. That's huge. Oh, yeah, I gotta look at it. I was sitting there thinking, good Lord, that's a 10-pounder if it's an ounce. That's a bit of bass.
That's a big fish.
That's a big old gas. Come here, boy. Now, you be nice, all right? Because I don't know what to do with you. I guess my starters, I could... That's the biggest fish I ever caught on a crankbait.
Well, back on our hunt to figure out what the largemouths are doing. They have to be doing something.
Like this. Little guy there. You know, Al, even with this front blowing through here like it is, they might still bite a little bit. Little guy. He hit that jig pretty aggressively, though. We got
Is that called a quick release?
That's called a quick pro release, man. Well, we've got this front blowing through here, and it's coming through here awful quick. The temperature's dropping. We've tried catching fish out on the river. We've tried catching fish around the grass. Everything's been pretty tough. Now we've gotten in here on the old oxbow off the river channel with some lay-down willow trees and cypress trees and stuff. Hopefully we can catch some fish on a spinnerbait and a jig around here.
It's the only option left that we haven't fished. They gotta be someplace.
Well, you ought to catch one in there on that jig. It's still 8 foot right here.
Yeah, there's a good looking piece right here. One is living in here. Let's go knock on his door a little bit. Oh, boy.
Was he cutting up or what?
You don't know what hit him.
He was right in that stuff, though. I love it when they do that. Challenge you.
Oh, nice one. Now that was definitely a big fish looking spot. There's more than one laying in there. Heck, looking good, Paul.
You know, Al, we fished a lot of different kind of water. Finally ended up catching some fish. You know, a lot of people come out and they got a predetermined notion on how they're gonna catch fish. And the main thing they forget is you gotta fish the fish. You know, you can't go out and catch them on a crankbait when they won't bite a crankbait. You gotta go find out what they're biting and catch them. And that's what we've had to do all day long. We had a rough go, but we finally got a little something going and we've caught some decent fish.
Should your fish be managed for quality or quantity? Next. The nation's top guides and pros reveal time-tested fish-catching secrets in this special giveaway booklet. Bass, crappie, walleye, northerns, muskies, catfish, yours absolutely free. Send a 25-cent stamped self-addressed legal-sized envelope to Proven Fishing Secrets of the Pros. Post Office Box 3131, Kearney, Nebraska, 68848.
This is your last chance. Either come in now, or I'll use it.
The new Snapshot. The firing pin holds the line, so you can cast faster and easier.
Over by the waves. We're coming in.
Quantum Snapshot casts so fast, the fish are surrounded in no time.
Compared to the noise of a gas outboard, any electric fishing motor seems quiet. But some electrics still frighten fish, while Minn Kota doesn't. No wonder 3 out of 4 fishermen choose Minn Kota. For the quiet power that catches fish.
The weedless wonder does it again. You know, the silver minnow is actually better today than when I first fished it 30 years ago. The lure hasn't changed, but the fishing pressure has. It's pushing those big bass deeper in the heavy cover every year. And the silver minnow is what pulls them out. The Johnson silver minnow. It really is the weedless wonder.
What do 2 of America's best fishermen have in common? Gary Roach has a bait well. So does Al Lindner. Gary's boat has tons of storage. Al's has just as much. Gary's boat is rated for a 75 horsepower tiller. So is Al's. Gary's boat has his name on it. See the Gary Roach Edition 1800 Pro V and check out the tournament-tested features on over 40 models of Lund boats at your local Lund dealer. Fishermen come in all shapes and sizes. Old ones, young ones, big ones, small ones, serious ones, not so serious ones, pretty ones, and not so pretty ones. Indeed, the diversity of the individuals who make up America's army of more than 60 million anglers is truly unique among recreational endeavors. It is this diversity that presents a challenge to those who are responsible for managing our fisheries. Do we manage for size, or do we manage for quantity? Or is there more to it than that? There was a time when fisheries managers viewed their jobs as merely creating an environment where the most harvestable fish could be maintained. In the case of bass, this would be to grow them up to 10 inches or so, and then take them out and eat them. For walleyes, the size for optimum output is around 12 inches. Although this shovel them in and haul them out philosophy may still be appropriate in some circumstances, fisheries agencies are paying more and more attention to the human dimension of outdoor recreation. Studies have shown that angler satisfaction is based on more than pure yield. In a recent poll of trout fishermen, the actual catching of trout ranked a lowly 7th. More important was being in the out of doors. Second came nature appreciation. Third, the opportunity to utilize angling skills. Fourth, seeing trout feeding. Fifth, solitude. And sixth, escape. Studies also show that as anglers mature, their attitudes and values change. They become more interested in angling as a process rather than as a means of putting food on the table. With maturity, the quality of the fishing experience becomes more important than the quantity of the fish caught. As we move into the 90s, our national quest for quality fishing finds fisheries agencies reevaluating their roles as pure biologists. Sociology also comes into play as increased attention is focused on the attitudes and opinions of anglers concerning our precious aquatic resources. Management tools such as catch and release, slot size limits, horsepower restrictions, and perhaps even limited access will become more and more a part of the angling management mentality. And with the benefit of this added wisdom, both on the part of anglers and agencies, the future of quality fishing will be ensured for generations to come. For more information about shaping fisheries policies for the future, contact Future 21, Sport Fishing Institute, 1010 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20001, or call 202-898-0770. Lace your deck shoes tight. It's giant tarpon next.
I couldn't.
It's Tuesday afternoon in Ford County.
Darndest thing about life here in Ford County. You'd think with a name like Ford County, people would prefer Ford trucks. Au contraire, people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks.
Always said we were on the cutting edge.
Isn't that the darndest thing?
Could it be we're the bellwether of major societal shifts?
It's mind-boggling. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Try a Jayco fold-out once, and you won't want to camp any other way. It's wonderfully affordable, a dream to tow, and setup is easy, even for one person. Jayco's smooth operating roof lifter system makes the difference. Once a Jayco fold-out is up, the living is really easy, because Jayco provides you all the back-to-nature fitting of a tent with the comforts of an RV. Jayco builds and backs its fold-downs for a lifetime of good times. See your Jayco dealer today. For one near you, call toll-free 1-800-447-4700.
As fishermen, we're always looking for an edge. The innovation in equipment gets better every year. Trolling motors, graphs, and now fish attractants. I use BaitMate. It's totally effective, yet the most affordable brand on the market. The makers of BaitMate have now introduced BaitMate Max. It's fluorescent, has scale fleck, and is one of my favorite colors, chartreuse. BaitMate is effective, affordable, and will definitely give you an edge.
Think you can handle it for a spell?
You bet. Help you, mister?
Fill her up with unleaded.
Yes, sir.
Fill it up with unleaded, please.
Yes, ma'am.
The extraordinary thing about Coleman's new unleaded stoves and lanterns is that they burn ordinary unleaded gas. Just look for the ones with the unleaded label.
Any business?
17 Phillips.
Tarpon, undisputed king of the saltwater flats. There was a time when this astonishing fish was considered to be uncatchable with rod and reel. Anglers who tangled with tarpon in the early part of the century related tales of broken knuckles, rods, lines, and melted drags. But with technological advances in fishing tackle, the tarpon has become one of the world's most coveted game fish, especially among fly fishermen. Let's see how technology has turned the tide in favor of the angler who pursues these great silver-scaled beasts.
Fishing the flats for tarpon is kind of a cross between hunting and fishing. You can pick a spot and wait, like pass shooting ducks, or you can pole along and visually hunt for them. Like hunting, you have to wait for a good shot, but unlike hunting, you have to hope the fish bite. Ooh, look at them. And when they don't bite because they're spooked or you made a bad cast, it's still mighty exciting. And when they do bite, it is electrifying.
There you go. Jab him, jab him. You're clear. You're clear. Nice bait.
Let's chase him. Get tight on him. Oh, man. The reel, the handle just fell off the reel.
When we get him settled down, I'll take it and get up for you, Larry.
Well, there's nothing I can do. Look at, I can't believe it. The first one I hooked, the fly line broke in half. The second one I hooked got tangled up in another school of tarpon, and they busted the leader off. And now this one, the reel handle fell off. I think somebody's doing this to my equipment at night. There's 2 lobster traps up there. We got to get some of this line back. It's up the size of a, like a Phillips screwdriver. Look at, I don't know what to do. I've got on a 100-pound fish. I got no handle on my reel. I guess I'll just hang on until I got no backing left, which is going to be soon. Go ahead, get us into gear. We got to catch up to him. I think we'll be able to get him. Yeah, this will work. This may be the longest day of our career, Dick. Look at this. It's gone. There's my new handle. We just may revolutionize tarpon fishing and reel design. I can't see where he is, but I see a big contraption up there, Dick.
I love commercial fishing.
Line is around the buoy.
Big come down, grab the buoy. All right.
I got it. I got it. All right. What a relief. But look, there's about 6 more of them out there. Look at him. He's up on top. Just boot on it, Dick. Just boot on it.
Coming back at us?
Yeah, I got slack line.
Huh?
I got slack. He's coming right at us, Dickie. You might have to lift up the motor. Look at him right there. Busted him off.
That's all right.
Unbelievable. Look at this. The nail knot pulled off the fly line. The tippet didn't even break. The nail knot gave way. Unbelievable.
We'll be back with more after this.
The Ultra 2 fly line is the farthest shooting, highest floating, easiest to pick up and recast, right where you want it. For maximum control in your fly fishing, pick up an Ultra 2. It's available at better fly shops and sporting good dealers everywhere. The ultimate fly line, Ultra 2.
Cast, there he is. Cast, don't you see him? Here, you need aquavision. Big difference, huh? Now you're on him.
That's right. In-Fisherman's exclusive design aquavision sunglasses reveal the underwater world, featuring full 180-degree peripheral vision and a special eyebrow bar that stops glare. Air vents reduce fog and perspiration. Adjustable temple bows fit any head. Special elastic keepers protect your investment. Harmful UV rays are eliminated. Fully polarized lenses let you see fish deep. And aquavisions are absolutely guaranteed or your money back. For a limited time only, call 1-800-8-UC-FISH and get Aquavision sunglasses, a $20 value for only $14.95. Call now and receive a 10-pack of Clearex lens cleaner free. Call 1-800-8-UC-FISH.
We got her! In-Fisherman aquavision sunglasses. You're fishing blind without them.
Oh. Larry, here come the fish.
These little fish. Oh, man, this is hot.
I'm gonna spin the boat for you, Larry. To the left.
There you go. He's looking.
He got it! Where you on, Larry? Bow to him.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, you want bow to him. He can fly back in there. More we're looking for. We're going outside, Larry. They're daisy chaining. Keep your eye on the fish there, Larry. Hold up. Get back. He ate it. Hit him. Bring your line. Bow. There you go. Bow to him. That's it. Bow to him.
Woo!
Yeah!
So hot!
We're gonna shake his head. Coming at us. I can't keep him on the That's all right. Don't worry about it. He's up. When he tightens up, just jam him a couple of times. Bow! Jam him a couple times, Larry. Bow!
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
You're in the bucket. Got it! Where you on? You're on.
Oh, man. Oh, a screamer. Want to start the big motor? Oh, wow. What a joke. Or a lobster pot. Or the hook doesn't pull out. Ah, good enough. Oh, thank you, Mr. Fish.
Old tarpon come up and wore through the leader. Old concrete mouth himself.
It still counts in my book.
He's nuts. Oh, nuts. In my estimation, there's no other fishing experience that compares to fly fishing for tarpon. It is the ultimate sensory fishing experience. You see them with your eyes before they bite. You actually see them when they take the fly. You feel them when they run, and you hear them when they go airborne.
Talk about hot. Not quite, Larry.
Just broke an IMX. We'll land him, though. He's pooped. He's pooped.
Boy, it popped, didn't it?
Yeah. It was a, it was definitely a,
The rock tips right at the shock here.
oh, that's all right. That's all right. Ooh, we lost the tip, though.
Yeah.
I've taken my pulse after hooking and losing a tarpon, and it's been as high as 185. That's right, we're talking aerobic fishing. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if you catch them. The overall experience of having one of these magnificent creatures come up and snarf a fly in front of your eyes, then blast off, is more than enough reward for me. Although I would like to land one of these beasts. Hey, you've got to try tarpon. And you know the best part? All the fish get released. It's the law now. Hey, to get in touch with a good flats guide like my friend Dick Rothwall for fishing tarpon in the Florida Keys, call the World Class Angler, 305-743-6139. You won't regret it.
Hi, I'm Kurt Gowdy, and if you love fishing as much as I do, then the new Bass Pro Shop Spring Fever Sale Catalog is a must. It puts you right in the middle of the largest selection of name brand fishing and sporting goods at the lowest prices anywhere, including Bass Pro exclusives and tracker boats. What's new, what's hot, it's all here. Just call 1-800-BASS-PRO and get your money-saving copy absolutely free. And you don't even have to get out of your easy chair.
Here's a new product that's so amazing you're going to have to try it out yourself. It's called the Gripper, a new no-tie, no-knot rope cleat that eliminates all the hassles of securing ropes. Instead of wasting a lot of time tying the anchor up to a seat brace, with the Gripper, all you have to do is lace it up, like this. You can use the Gripper for bait buckets, or just about anything that involves ropes, lines, or cords. Why waste time tying knots when you should be catching fish like this? See, I told you, now get the Gripper because it's a real cinch.
Sharper, stronger. What a catchy combination. New AccuPoint fish hooks, 20% stronger with chemically sharpened points. From Mustad, the fish hook people.
A place for everything, and everything in its place. Big things, small things, short things, long things. Stored safe, dry, clean, and at your fingertips. Plano, choice of the pros, because they're the toughest, best designed tackle boxes ever made.
On next week's show, tips for picking a good bass lake, spoon finesse for trout and salmon, innovative walleye techniques, modern fisheries management, the effects of spearing and netting on sports fisheries, flashin' magic, the world's most effective bass bait, and an angling adventure for East Coast blues, blacks, and stripers. Tune in, you won't want to miss it.
Country America readers, because of recent TNN program changes, we're making this special offer. Get a free update to the February program guide by calling this number. Even when TNN programs change, Country America keeps you informed.
This is what Nashville applause sounds like. And this is what it looks like. You see, Nashville Applause is the name of the super vacation package from the folks at Opryland Travel, and they can handle all the details of your Nashville vacation. The package gives you 3 days in Music City, USA for as low as $153 per person, a real value. You get 2 nights at the Nashville hotel of your choosing, admission to a production of TNN's Nashville Now or Crook and Chase, tickets for a performance of the Grand Ole Opry, a Grand Ole Opry sightseeing tour of Nashville, a backstage tour of the Opry House, and a spectacular Sunday brunch at the beautiful Opryland Hotel, all for as low as $153 per person. So if winter is starting to get you down, you deserve applause. Nashville Applause from Opryland Travel. For information, call 615-871-6642.
Recipes that'll tug at your heartstrings on the next Holiday Gourmet.
every sport and profession, there are stars and then there are superstars. And when it comes to bass angling, there's one name that always surfaces at the top. Larry Nixon, Bassmasters Classic champion, Megabucks champion, team tournament champion, Bass Angler of the Year, and the list goes on. How does he do it, and why is he so consistent? One big answer is his knowledge of bass angling, and today he'll share a lot of that great knowledge with you on how to fish a strange lake by the seasons, and then he'll take you out on his own home lake under some of the worst possible conditions and show you how he puts together a fish catching pattern. It's a great, informative show. I'm Ray Scott, and the Bassmasters will be right back. Stay tuned.
It's Tuesday afternoon in Ford County.
Darndest thing about life here in Ford County. You'd think with a name like Ford County, people would prefer Ford trucks. Au contraire, people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks.
Always said we were on the cutting edge.
Isn't that the darndest thing?
Could it be we're the bellwether of major societal shifts?
It's mind-boggling. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
There's always people coming along in the marketplace saying, oh yeah, ours is just as good as a Ranger and so forth, and I'm glad they say that, because that means we're the standard that they measure all the others by. And I've had first-time buyers tell me that very thing, that they bought our boat because, you know, the reputation for quality and integrity and so forth.
Humminbird asked us pros, the Humminbird sports team, to tell you about the all-new TCR. Good looking, right? Well, as a world-class angler, I can tell...
Jimmy, TCR is the first high-definition depth sounder with 455 kilohertz.
And the TCR ID1 even shows fish in red.
Plus, it has an easy-to-use control panel.
Lucky for him.
And it has an all-in-one mounting and connector system, right, Jimmy?
Thanks, guys. The new high-definition TCR depth sounders from Humminbird. Absolutely brilliant technology. All right.
Funny how some people seem destined by nature to own an Evinrude outboard motor. Evinrude owners are born, not made.
As Ray Scott said, there are stars and superstars in every sport and profession. And Larry Nixon is at the top of the list when it comes to professional bass angling. This 39-year-old Bassmaster has done it all. With over $500,000 in Bass Angler Sportsman Society tournament winnings, he's the all-time BASS money winner and the top single-season winner, earning more than $200,000 during the 1987-88 tournament year. He won the Bassmasters Classic World Championship. He's been BASS Angler of the Year twice. He captained the winning team in the BASS Team Tournament, and shortly after that, won the prestigious Megabucks Championship. And Larry Nixon is consistent, placing in the money 76% of the time. And with 9 wins, he ranks second only to Roland Martin 16 in most BASS tournaments won. How does he do it? How and why is he so consistent? Maybe it's his knowledge and experience, because after all, fishing is the only job he's ever had. Then, too, he's always analyzing what's happening, like here, during practice at Virginia's Bugs Island Reservoir.
Surprised me.
That's good bass. Catch me about 5 of them a day, and when this is over, I'll be doing good. So you wasn't really relating to that cover either. Anytime you fish in a new body of water and you're out looking for bass, one of the key things that you need to learn is how the fish are relating to the cover. The situation we got here at Bugs Island, the lake is falling and the fish are beginning to pull back out of the cover, and they're hanging close to it, but they're not really tight on it. That's what so many fishermen do wrong, is they get out there and they'll flip and flip and flip, all day and they get caught up in all the cover, and many times that's not the right pattern.
With as much time spent on the water as Larry has, he knows what works and what doesn't.
You know, when I'm throwing a spinnerbait and covering a lot of water, and these fish here are pretty scattered out right now, and I'm having to more or less hunt the bass. I just can't run in a cove and find a fish, so I'm having to move real fast. And for that purpose, I select a real heavy head. This is like a 3/4 ounce. It's got a little small Colorado blade in front and a number 5 Indiana silver on the back. And I've topped it off with a white skirt and a white tail. Anytime you're in doubt throwing a spinnerbait, there's one color that I can always rely on, and it's my favorite, and that's chartreuse and white. It's a combination color, and I'll usually put a white tail on it. Anytime you're in doubt when you're bass fishing, that's the color you should throw, because it gives you a little bit of chartreuse for brim or perch for the color of your bait fish, and it also gives you the white in case shad is your primary bait. But so many times in spinnerbait fishing, you know, the whole key is to figure out the activity level of the fish. And here the fish are a little bit more aggressive and they're chasing the bait pretty good, and I'm having to hunt them, so I'm going with a fast moving bait. But there's other times when you've got to slow down and use a throbbing spinnerbait like a Colorado blade, something that'll put out a lot more vibration. And usually when the fish are holding real tight to the cover, that's when I want that Colorado blade, because I want them to be able to feel that thing shaking when it comes by the brush. But when I don't know whether the bass is on a bush or something under the water out away from the bush, then I'm going to go with a faster moving bait and hope he's aggressive enough to chase it.
Every body of water is unique to itself, requiring different techniques and approaches. But one thing doesn't change, the bass. And seasonal patterns are the key to catching bass, as Larry Nixon well knows.
The question that I get asked most often when I'm out touring the U.S. and seminars and stuff is, how do you guys go out on all these strange new lakes and find bass or places that you've never been before? And there's so many things that a bass fisherman has to think about and go through when looking for bass. The best thing you can do is get you a good map, and then you relate the time of the year to the time that you're going fishing this body of water. And that's how I eliminate a lot of my water right there. If I go to a lake in the springtime, then I know I'm going to start checking the coves and pockets on the northeast side of the lake, because these are the pockets that warm up first and your fish move in to spawn the earliest. And you refine your pattern once you get a few fish going. Once you figure out how to catch a few of these bass, then you decide, well, are they in the western pockets or in the southern pockets? You have to eliminate a lot of little things there, but at least you have a place to start. And these fish in the spring of the year, they like jigs and they like small crankbaits, they like minnow plugs, and that's the lures that I'm going to use to look for them. In the summertime, I'm going to move out closer to the main lake. I'm going to start fishing points, humps, ridges, things that have deeper water nearby, because once the bass leave the shallow water in the spring, that's where they go to spend their summer. And I'm going to take a plastic worm and deep diving crankbait, and that's the two lures predominantly that I'm going to use in the summertime. Later on in the fall of the year, that's when I'm going to start going back to the creeks. But the trick here is to figure out what part of the creek the bait is in and the active bass are in. So many times in the fall of the year, you have situations like high water, falling water, and you have to take this into consideration. Off-colored water. The most important factors in fall fishing is water color, water depth, and the size of the cove that you're fishing. There'll nearly always be a direct relationship in the amount of water a cove has in it is to whether other coves have fish in them. In other words, if it's a narrow pocket, it won't have many bass in it. If it's got a wide expanse of water in it and a good little creek channel coming in it, that's where most of the time you'll find the good schools of fish. In the fall of the year, your key lures are spinnerbaits and crankbaits. Predominantly in the history of tournament fishing, these two lures have won most of our tournaments in the fall of the year. And when I'm looking for bass in the fall, I'm going to spend most of my time throwing these two lures, because I can cover a lot of water with them, and I know that I'm keeping my lure in the strike zone, especially when the water is up and in the bushes. The fish are usually relating to the brush, and these two lures, I can cover them effectively. And you have to, once you catch a few fish, no matter what time of the year it is, then you kind of refine your tactics as to the size of the fish you caught. In other words, if they're not biting good and you're not catching many, but you know they're on a certain particular type of water, then go to a smaller bait or a larger bait. There's a lot of little changes that you have to make in order to figure out the right lure to catch either more fish or bigger fish. And then in the wintertime, I drop right back to the same type of water I fished in the summertime. I'm going to move back to the channels, the creek bends, anywhere two creeks intersect. I'm going to fish the deeper water.
The Bassmasters will be right back from Greer's Ferry Reservoir in Arkansas as Larry Nixon takes you fishing on his home lake. Don't go away.
When it comes to fishing, everything's got to be just right, from what goes on the end of my line to what goes in the bottom of my boat. For me, that's Delco Voyager batteries with built-in charge indicators. Deep cycling and high cranking the whole time I'm out.
Delco Voyager batteries. Deep cycling, high cranking.
No other batteries get on board my boat. For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC-DELCO.
When water's this clear, your fishing line better be thin, clear, and strong. MagnaThin, the new power line from DuPont, is crystal clear. So thin, it's the next thing to being invisible. MagnaThin is the choice when fishing clear waters. Thin for long, smooth casts. Strong to help you catch more fish. MagnaThin from DuPont, your clear choice for clear waters.
Ever since my husband started using a Rubbermaid cooler, he doesn't come in for ice. He doesn't come in for a cold drink. He doesn't even come in for lunch. I never see the guy.
On fire. Nice try, babe.
Rubbermaid's patented reef-free system, attached snap-lock lids, and thick insulation seem to keep things cold forever. And they're so strong and durable, Rubbermaid backs them with a full 6-year warranty. No wonder they're the official coolers of the Bassmasters Classic.
It's Monday morning in Ford County.
That full-size Chevy pickup sure has a more advanced design than Ford.
Now that you mention it, the lines do remind me of modern neoclassic sculpture.
I see a lot of Bauhaus influence.
The understated simplicity even contributes to greater fuel efficiency.
Form follows function. High fuel efficiency. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Larry Nixon grew up learning to fish and guide here on Greer's Ferry Reservoir close to his home in Bee Branch, Arkansas. While this 32,000-acre, 29-year-old impoundment is considered a good fishery, it's more noted for trophy walleye than bass. But there are spotted smallmouth and largemouth bass here. The size limit for the spots and smallmouth is only 10 inches, while the largemouth size limit is 15 inches. There are big bass here. In fact, the lake record is nearly 16 pounds. But the fishing today for Larry and Chuck Roberts of the Bassmasters television crew is far from easy. The time is April, and the lake is up some 9 feet following near-record rains, flooding areas to the extent they're almost impossible to fish. But some fish do bite, even these kind.
What did that thing weigh? My gosh. I knew that couldn't be the bass anymore. Gee whiz. 15 or 18 pounds, isn't it? Yeah, 15 or 20. Look at the size of that thing. My gosh. You sorry outfit, you. What a disgusting fish. Look at that thing. That thing's over 20. It sure is. And it ate my jig plumb to its goozle. Let's see, now we got a drum pattern going. Well, one thing about drum. Yeah? When you find the drum, that's usually where your big bass are. Really? Oh, that's probably a world record on 14-pound line.
For the most part, the fishing is great, but the catching is tough. Experimenting with different lures plus in-depth bass and knowledge pays off.
Where was he, in one of these bushes? Oh, yeah, he just come right off of, I was about 10 foot out. There's nothing following me. Here he comes, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. There he got it. I saw that fish the whole way.
Kentucky?
That's Kentucky there.
I saw him the whole way.
I did too.
Isn't that funny? They're right out here where they're not supposed to be, but where everybody thinks they should be, right?
Well, something about a buzzbait at times makes fish awful mad. I mean, they're not really feeding on the thing, they just don't like it.
Even though the falling water conditions make it difficult to establish a pattern, there are patterns within patterns, and Larry Nixon has the experience to figure them out.
Larry, when you come into a situation like this where the water's coming up and then going down so fast, there you go. Get him out of there. I think you're about to answer my question. You know, we've fished, you know, for 2 or 3 days here on the real heavy bushes, and we just haven't done any good. Now we're on these very isolated bushes. You think it makes that much difference? Obviously, it made that difference.
Well, you know, this thing's fallen about 5 foot, and it's really pulled the better fish out of the shallow water. We've got about a 61, 62 degree water temperature, and the fish are wanting to spawn, but they have just drained so much water out of it that it's just put the better fish in shock. And what we've had to do here is establish a pattern, and a lure to cover a lot of water, such as a buzzbait or a spinnerbait, and a few, on a jerkbait minnow. And, the fish just aren't relating to the good heavy cover like they ought to be. These old bushes have got so much scum on them this time of year. The sap starts rising, and when them bushes go under the water like that for a period of time, it just, the fish just don't use them. They kind of relate around them. They don't really get right in the brush. And what they'll do is they'll use that for cover, but they don't get inside the bush. So, flipping and fishing real tight to that stuff is wasting a lot of time. And we just had to determine a lure that we could cover a lot of water with and get the fish to come out and attack it.
Our champion of the Bassmasters Classic.
The Bassmasters will be right back with more how-to from the BASS all-time money winner. Don't go away.
Tracker unleashes a new legend.
There's no magic formula for catching big bass like these. It's really a matter of know-how, the kind of know-how that brings in big winnings for the pro anglers. I'm Ray Scott, and you can share the know-how that bass pros depend on when you join the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. As a member, you get 10 big issues a year of Bassmaster magazine, packed cover to cover with the hottest bass catching how-tos, written and photographed by anglers for anglers. And each issue is the next best thing to a fishing trip with bassing greats like Roland Martin, Guido Hibden, and Larry Nixon. If you want to go for bigger bass, go for the best know-how. Join Bass today, and I'll send you this free gift. Here's how.
Join BASS now and get your free tackle pack with Man's new Rat, a pack of augertail worms, the Man Alive lure, and Berkley Trilene XT solar line. Remember, you'll also get 10 big issues of Bassmaster magazine with your $15 paid membership. Call 1-800-543-1500 now to join.
It took nearly 3 days to put together this buzzbait deepwater bush pattern, and it was Larry Nixon's extensive on-water experience that found the key to success.
Larry, have you found in these conditions like this that we can go back to right over there where we were catching them on the buzzbaits and do the same thing on worms, go in there, and you think they'd bite worms or something down deep like that?
Well, what I found, Chuck, in a lot of situations like this is that many times when the water temperature's, in the low 60s, the fish aren't really down on the bottom, and they're not really buried in the cover, so therefore your bottom baits, such as worms and jigs, are not really that effective. Now, a real slow sinking lure, such as a tube lure or a Gitsit or that type of bait there, sometimes you'll catch fish on that. But the problem is you've got so many flooded bushes through here. Which bush do you throw at? That's the whole problem when you've got a lot of flooded water. So usually instead of going back down a bank like that with a worm or a jig, you're better off going right back down it with a different topwater bait, because these fish are not on the bottom and they're feeding looking up. I mean, they're not really looking down at all. They don't go down to feed, so lures that stay up on top will attract more strikes. You know, maybe a crankbait, but not your bottom bumpers.
Larry, what would your advice be to someone who wanted to make fishing professional, his career?
Chuck, that's a real hard question to answer, but one thing a bass fisherman's got to be if he's going to compete professionally is very versatile. And so much of our fishing now is going back to lots of light line stuff, spinning gear, smaller baits. You know, it seems like fishing's getting tougher every year, and we're having to do a lot of different little bitty things to catch a few bass. And to me, being versatile is number one. And then number two, you can't forget what got you there, because so many times it's my main lures that I locate fish with and then resort to the lighter stuff, the smaller baits, lighter line, and all them techniques that wind up catching fish in the tournaments.
Last year, Larry, his wife Amy, and their 2 children, 7-year-old Christopher and Lindsay, 5, moved back to Bee Branch, Arkansas, and built their dream home, the house Larry said that Megabucks built. He no longer guides as he did for 17 years in Texas. Now it's only tournaments, public appearances, and home with his family. Many anglers on the BASS tournament trail feel Larry Nixon is the best and most consistent angler on the circuit. And like a lot of successes in life, a suggestion by a friend is what started Larry on his rise to bass angling fame.
You know, when I first moved down to Toledo Bend to become a guide, I really never envisioned at that time of being a professional bass tournament fisherman. I really went down there just to make a living and be happy to start with. And then about 1974, 75, I got to seeing Tommy Martin's name in the headlines. Every time I'd pick up a newspaper, you know, there was a guy that I lived real close to. I didn't know him at that time, but here's a fishing buddy that's a superstar. And, you know, that got me to thinking about tournament fishing. And then about 75, Tommy moved up to Harbor Light, which is real close to me. And I got to know Tommy real well, and he was around the dock a lot, and he guided some back in them days, you know, and he kept telling me, he said, man, at the fish you catch, he said, you don't never go out there and not catch any fish. He said, you got to, you know, try tournament fishing. You ain't never gonna make any money guiding, you know. He could see right quick my old tore up boat, and you know, you come in, your old props bent, and you ain't got no money to buy another, and he said, you ain't gonna make no money guiding. So in 76, I saved all the money I could possibly scrape together to fish my first BASS tournament in January 1977. And, you know, fortunately, I placed well enough in that one, you know, to go on to the next one, and the rest of it's history. You know, everything I've fished, more or less placed in the first year, and that saved me. That kept me going.
And since those first BASS tournaments, times have changed.
When I first started fishing tournaments, you know, back then there was no big crowds, very few people coming to the weigh-ins, and, you know, it was just tournament fishing, a way to make a living. And I believe the turning point that really got me to thinking about how much bass fishing has really grown was in the Louisville Classic that George Cochran won. When they pulled me into that stadium the last day, I mean, it was awesome. You know, 17 or 18,000 people in there, whatever it was, and it was just a roar, sounded like a football game. And I actually really got goosebumps over that weigh, and it was incredible that, you know, how much the sport has actually grown. And, you know, I think a lot of this is because of the Bassmasters TV show. I think the Bassmasters TV show is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to professional bass fishing, because I run into people all over the United States now that say, you know, wow, I tape you every Sunday. This is the greatest thing ever was. I get up early just to watch it on TV, and you know, it's really bringing about some major changes in our sport.
Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler, the most comfortable jeans known to man.
You know, when you're fishing buzzbaits in the early spring and even occasionally in real hot water situations, and one of the most important things to remember about fishing buzzbaits is the speed of the retrieve. And many times they want it real slow. And what I like to do is take a little 2.5 or 3-inch curl tail grub and slip it up on the hook just like you would a spinnerbait. Just slide it right up against your skirt. And this little tail will help slow your lure down, and it'll also give it that little bit of added attraction that sometimes you need to make a fish take it. Another thing I like to do is take a pretty small trailer hook and just slip it up over the hook, and then take a little piece of surgical tubing and just take this tubing and slip it right, just stick the hook point right through it. This will hold the trailer hook on the bait, and many times when you're fishing for Kentucky bass and smallmouth bass and sometimes even very aggressive largemouth bass when they're just slashing at your lure, this will also help you hook a lot of these fish that you would normally miss on a buzzbait.
It's the same thing every Saturday. He puts on those old blue jeans and goes out with that old dog, and he's gone all day. He says he's going to bring back dinner, but all he ever brings back is that old dog.
Here's to old dogs, Saturday mornings, and comfortable blue jeans. Wrangler.
Larry Nixon, a great angler, a great teacher, and what a great friend of bass. Now, next week we'll be in Virginia for the Top 100 Pro-Am at Kerr Reservoir. There's lots of action and lots of fish catching, and what one angler did to win that tournament is a story in itself. For the Bassmasters, I'm Ray Scott, and we'll see you next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the heartbeat of America. Today's Chevy truck. Ranger boats. We still build them one at a time. Humminbird. Absolutely brilliant technology. Evinrude Outboards. Evinrude owners are born, not made. Delco Voyager Marine Batteries. Deep cycling, maintenance-free. DuPont Power Lines. Stren, Prime Plus, New Magnathin, and Magnum 1440. Rubbermaid Specialty Products Division. Don't you wish everything was made like Rubbermaid? Bass Pro Shops, world's largest supplier of premium tackle. Wrangler, the most comfortable jeans known to man. And the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, the world's largest bass fishing organization.
Watching TNN.
Tracker unleashes a new legend.
You load the 16-ton. What do you get?
Tennessee Ernie Ford celebrates 5 decades of entertainment.
But we're going to show what you've been doing for the past 50 years.
All of it?
Pucker up, baby.
Oh, boy, what a line!
It's not mine, it's his.
Join his many friends in salute to America's favorite pea picker, Tennessee Ernie Ford, 50 golden years. Saturday, February 17th on the Nashville Network.
America on Classic Rock with Wolfman Jack, Saturday.
Boy, it's fascinating looking out over all of these race teams and all these cars and setups. NASCAR reminds me a lot of fishing. You know, I started fishing about 15 years or so ago, and it's grown leaps and bounds, and that's about the same way with NASCAR. It has really, really grown the last 10, 12 years. I got a friend of mine out there that drives one of those cars. I guess he's kind of an American hero. He came up hard. He came up through the little short tracks and dirt tracks, and he drove his way to the very, very top. In my opinion, he's the greatest driver that ever got behind the wheel of a NASCAR, and he's pretty well proven that as well. But he's kept his priorities straight. You know, he's got his wife that he's crazy about, and they got a new daughter, Taylor, and boy, he's really crazy about Taylor. And he's a good deer hunter, you know, and we're real compatible in that area. So I'm really looking forward to our show today. He's going to go out here. We're at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. He's fixing to go out here and win pole position. As soon as he wins the pole, he and I are going fishing. So you stay with us. We're going to have a great show today. I'm Hank Parker.
Today, Hank's guest is none other than NASCAR superstar Dale Earnhardt.
You doubles. Every time I hook one, you hook one. Yeah, mine's small. Mine's small fish, little bitty fish.
Not bad. Mine's bigger than yours.
Yours make two of mine.
Wonder why that is.
I reckon I'm fishing for quantity. You're fishing for quality.
Quality, you're right.
That sucker was hooked good. Pull it back, there you go. Ain't bad, ain't bad. We might catch a few.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The house needs painting, grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, featuring the only sportsman to ever win the BASS Triple Crown, including not just one, but 2 classic championships. The coveted Bass Angler of the Year title and winner of Super Bass 4.
I don't know how I'm talking on this telephone, Angie, but this is your husband. If you remember what I look like, I hadn't been home in so long. But I'm standing on the stage here looking out at about 1,000 people at Super Bass, and I just won the tournament.
Hank's Show is brought to you in part by Delco Voyager Marine Batteries, deep cycling and maintenance free, and by Humminbird, absolutely brilliant technology.
Well, I don't know if that looks like racing weather to you, but it looks like good fishing weather to me.
Boy, I tell you, we got to get this qualifying out of the way where we can go fishing. If this rain holds up a little bit, we'll get some practice in, I think we'll be all right.
Well, I want you to win the pole. You think you can win the pole up here?
Well, I think we can. You know, it's going to be competitive like always, but we got a good car here.
This is really important. Are you nervous?
Well, a little bit, but not too bad. I think we'll be all right.
You got it made, I think. I believe you're going to win it. You're going to get the pole out here today, and we're going fishing.
The biggest worry is going fishing and catching a big fish.
Well, let's get ready to go.
Well, they get around new structures that much?
Yeah, they get around it pretty good in a lake like this. I tell you, early morning fog, cold.
Pretty warm out here to me.
Yeah, I know. It's about like being inside a race car. And
one watching yours is going to get mine.
That's possible, very possible.
You know, we take turns on the stick up.
I got you. I'll do that. I'll take my 2 turns and I'll let you.
You'll catch one right there. Every time I go through there, I've caught one. What did I tell you? I told you.
Healthy fish. He's gonna get away. Gonna get away. Look here. That's what they're supposed to look like, isn't it?
Is that what we're fishing for?
I think that's it.
He's too small, isn't he?
Too little. Let's throw him back.
Throw him back. I don't want him cluttering up the live well that small.
Anything over 12 we'll save, huh?
What did I tell you?
You called the shot.
And you turned the boat, so I can't get under it.
You figured that out. Oh, that's bad.
You fish like I race on defense.
We talk it all the time in the tournaments when we take off. We tell somebody, if you get in that curve, I'm going to Earnhardt you.
Flare out, can't you? Watch them. They just flare out and go down.
Golly, bro. Man, that's pretty.
It's real soft mouth. It's real soft mouth. They'll pull out.
Put that thing in the boat. I want to see it.
I told you there's some nice crap in this lake.
That's the biggest one I've ever. That rascal is huge.
You bass fishing?
Crappie fish. Golly. They call those crappie.
Crappie fishing with Hank Parker.
Crappie. Look what crappie.
Had you had him laying on a plate, would he be good? I don't mount this kind. I eat this kind. That's one of the best eating fish there.
You want to eat him? Put him in live well. We'll eat him.
Man, I'm going to tell you what.
Put him in live well. We'll eat him.
That's probably the biggest crappie I ever caught in my life.
Yeah, put him in live well. Do it, really.
I'm telling you, it's a nice fish. Where do you go? 3/4 to a pound?
That crappie will weigh 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 pounds.
Nah.
Yeah,
Where's the live well at?
Huh?
Where's the live well at?
Right there where your reels are.
Either side?
Yeah. Just tell me which side and I'll... You got me a man to open that. So we better get somebody else.
Now don't go away. There's a whole lot more coming up with Hank and his North Carolina neighbor, NASCAR's Dale Earnhardt.
Yep. Look at that. Yep, that's a good fish, too.
I told you there's one out by there. How many times did I tell you that?
You've been a good guide, I will say that. You better hurry up, you're going to lose him, and he don't count unless you get him in the boat.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Look, what a fish. Golly, what's brand new pair? Bugle Boy jeans.
Oh, man. Why are all the fish the same size in this lake, Hank?
They're not. Mine's a lot bigger than yours.
You think yours has been bigger than these?
Golly, Bub, a lot bigger.
Look how big his mouth is, just like Bodine's. Good fish.
And coming up next, tricks of the trade.
When it comes to fishing, everything's got to be just right, from what goes on the end of my line to what goes in the bottom of my boat. For me, that's Delco Voyager batteries with built-in charge indicators. Deep cycling and high cranking the whole time I'm out.
Delco Voyager batteries. Deep cycling, high cranking.
No other batteries get on board my boat.
Delco Voyager batteries are available at everyday low prices at Kmart across the USA.
And they're well aware that we've got to build a good product and advertise it and then treat our customers right. And one of the most gratifying things to me is getting letters from customers that have had a boat and maybe they've had a problem or wanted a new part for it, and they are so impressed with the efficiency of the people there and the interest that they write letters and compliment various employees for taking care of their needs, whatever they are.
$250,000 in 2 years.
He's won the Classic. As a tournament fisherman, I look for every advantage possible. With the Classic spinnerbait, I've got it.
Man's Big Company presents Hank Parker's The Classic. 22-karat gold-plated samples, ball bearings, 12-foot thin, super strong wire from Maximum Fiber, custom twin-tail trailer.
Without a doubt, the Classic catches more fish than any spinnerbait I've ever used.
Here's one of Hank's tricks of the trade.
Hey, I'm sitting here building spinnerbait. You know, you think about spinnerbaits and you think about one type of bait, or like you go in a store and buy a bait off a shelf and just tie it on your line and throw it in your fishing spinnerbait. You think about plastic worms, you think about 15 different sizes and 400 different colors, and you feel like it's a very versatile bait. But a lot of times we don't realize how versatile a spinnerbait is. Now, there's several different sizes, shapes, different blade designs. I work with a spinnerbait a lot. I fish a very transparent bait in clear water, for example, and then I'll fish a very loud, bright bait in muddy water. And anywhere in between there, I fish a spinnerbait 5 or 6 foot deep, and I fish one right on the surface. I may even fish one 10 or 15 foot deep. I know in Guntersville, Alabama this past year, the BASS tournament was won on a 1-ounce spinnerbait fishing about 12 foot deep over the grass. So a spinnerbait is a very versatile bait. You can notice today when Dale and I are fishing, we're using a bait that I designed. It's called the Classic Spinnerbait. It's got an Indiana blade, which to me is probably the best combination for the most part, say 90% of the time. And I'll tell you a few things about a spinnerbait as a rule of thumb. I've already talked about you can fish it deep, you can fish it shallow. Well, you know it's a whole lot easier to fish a spinnerbait deep if it has a 1-ounce head. It's a whole lot easier to fish it shallow if it's got a 1/4 ounce head. So you've got a lot of different weights and head sizes you can use depending on what you need that spinnerbait for. The main thing you need to remember when you're selecting a spinnerbait, look at it as a tool. Like you've got a job you need to do, and you need to fish heavy grass, so then you need to pick out a light bait, something that you can fish on top through that heavy grass. Or if you've got real muddy water and you're wanting to fish it on top, then you'd want to use a heavier bait and use bigger blades to get more vibration. See, that's important, but yet you're fishing both baits on top. That's a good time to use a heavy bait, even though you're wanting to keep it on top, because by using that heavier bait, you can use a bigger blade. That's what Dale and I are doing today. You notice when we fish the riprap, how we fish that bait up on top. But yet that's a 3/4 ounce bait. We're putting off a lot of vibration with that weight. All those little things are tricks of the trade. But the one thing that I do always is I use a little white trailer. I never vary that. I may fish a chartreuse skirt, or I may fish a blue skirt, or I may fish a blue and chartreuse, or whatever color. But I always use this little white trailer. And I think that trailer, it works as a keel, keeps the bait upright, keeps the bait running true. That little trailer is probably the best little tip that I can give you to dress your spinnerbait up with. And I always use a white one. But I guarantee you, if you'll use that spinnerbait and stay out of the trees, but realize that spinnerbait is a versatile bait, just like a plastic worm. A lot of different sizes on a lot of different colors. And you try all the different sizes, you'll catch more fish on a spinnerbait.
If you'd like a printed copy of some of Hank's tricks of the trade, just write us in Denver, North Carolina.
Now today when we're fishing, you can see the water's muddy. Of course, we talked about the hurricane and all the rain that they've had, and it's really filled those lakes up fast. You got a lot of rising water, and the fish are a little bit spooked. And but yet you have to draw them for a distance because of the muddy water. So you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to put out a bait that's got too much vibration when you got spooky fish, but yet you want some good vibration for dingy water.
Can't catch fish in the lake, you go to the bridge.
Right.
When Hank's in the way, you pass him.
I don't think you're competitive enough to race.
See what, Hank?
I don't think you're competitive enough to race.
Don't let me be behind you on the last lap.
They say that that is the most feared, awesome, intimidating feeling in racing is to look in the rearview mirror and see the number 3 Lumina on your back bumper.
Well, I hope it does intimidate them. That's half the job right there, is getting them excited. Get what they're doing, run into something. Then they blame me because I was dying.
There's a fine line between getting strikes and getting fish in your boat. Berkeley Trilene.
Ever wish you could cast a country mile? Now you can. The original Country Mile or new Country Mile spinning reel. Cast one.
Humminbird does it again. TCR, the first high-definition depth sounders. With 455 kilohertz, you actually see more fish in more detail, and even in red. Take control with 7 simple buttons. Just snap the TCR into place. This all-new unit design mounts almost anywhere, and the compact TCR sensor makes transducers obsolete. TCR, absolutely brilliant technology from Humminbird.
This little guy can't hurt your line. But this big guy can destroy your line. So I use Berkeley Trilene. It's super strong.
When you buy a Mercury, you own what may be the most technologically superior engine on the water. And you also own something else. You own all of this.
Nice one, Hank. Good fish. Good fish. Good fish.
Good Lord.
Good fish.
You didn't give him any time, did you?
Hey. He was right under the boat when I hooked him up.
You act like you're in a tournament. Let's see it, fish.
Small.
A pound and a half?
Small.
About a pound and a half?
I think he'd go pound.
That's a good one.
All right. And it goes back. Maybe get him back.
I was thinking about moving down to the farm. My wife wasn't going to like that at all.
Kids like it down there?
Yeah, my boys do. Of course, there's a good one, Dale.
All right, heck. You got in there with him, didn't you? There's a gouge in that tree, too, ain't it?
He's doing it. That's
professional tree fisherman.
That kind of makes you nervous when you're $50,000 on the line and he's sitting there doing that.
It's like the brother of the one I caught out here last year.
That's the kind that makes you nervous. How you like that? That's about the size of that fish you caught on the bridge. Not quite as big. That water's Nixon right in here. It's getting a lot muddier on this side of the bridge than it is.
All right, Parker. Come off them rocks too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, right on the rocks.
He's going to the outside bank.
He does not like this.
Whew. He might go 8 pound, man. Think you'll go 8 pound?
Well, I think he might.
What is that?
He don't like that spinnerbait now.
Fish by him this morning, didn't we? Who?
Huh? That's a grown one.
How much that grown up weigh, you reckon?
Grown up will probably weigh, I don't know.
8?
2, 3 pounds.
They go right at 8, won't he?
I expect it will.
Yeah.
A good fish.
Yeah. Yeah, big boy.
A good fish. I guarantee you, that's a nice fish.
All right. Go eat.
Okay, what we got to hold out? He's so wrapped up, I don't know. Listen to that line. Look at that fish.
He's nice one.
Let me have control here. I'm gonna get him
Wait a
back.
minute, I got the scissors right here.
Come here.
Now you breaking all the brush out of the lake, Hank.
That wasn't in the water.
I got the boat.
If I can get it in there closer.
Take your jacket off before you get it wet.
Okay.
Did I tell you his fish ran that stick up?
You're just teasing.
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't catch him, really.
How about that? Now who's keeping score?
Me.
Don't you wish you could catch one like that? When you get older and more experienced, Dale, you'll be able to do that.
When I get to be the fishing magnet you are, I'll be all right, huh?
Boy, you ought to see me drive a race car.
Let's say you drive a pickup, or a 4x4, or an RV. These are special vehicles, capable of extraordinary toughness. To get it, they need equally extraordinary tires. They need the Safari line of tires from Kelly. Your Kelly dealer has Safaris for city streets or back roads, white letter or black wall, on or off the road. Best of all, each meets extraordinary demands at a very ordinary price.
You know, my idea of the perfect bait casting reel is one that casts with no effort at all. Line peels off the spool like it's in perpetual motion. Now, I've never fished with a reel quite like that, but this new Ambassador XLT comes mighty close. In fact, I believe I can cast farther with this reel than any I've ever fished with before. Just imagine what this would do on a fishing rod.
When it comes to fishing, everything's got to be just right, from what goes on the end of my line to what goes in the bottom of my boat. For me, that's Delco Voyager batteries with built-in charge indicators. Deep cycling and high cranking the whole time I'm out.
Delco Voyager batteries. Deep cycling, high cranking.
No other batteries get on board my boat.
Delco Voyager batteries are available at everyday low prices at Kmart across the USA.
Compared to the noise of a gas outboard, any electric fishing motor seems quiet. But some electrics still frighten fish, while Minn Kota doesn't. No wonder 3 out of 4 fishermen choose Minn Kota. For the quiet power that catches fish.
Same one.
Right there.
Hank, put it back on. I swear. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. You good, Hank, I'm telling you. I knew you was good back in '81. I knew you before you was good. When you thought you was good. That's neat.
That's a good one.
That is neat.
Yeah.
All right, put him back in the water.
Wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad.
I tell you what, it's really a privilege to be able to make a living doing what you like to do, but to have the opportunity to fish with one of your heroes, NASCAR's all-time great. I tell you, Dale, I enjoyed it, buddy.
I enjoyed it, Hank.
I appreciate it a lot. You're a good guy, too.
I'm a better guy than I am a fisherman, ain't I?
Hey, I appreciate you being with me today. God bless you. I'm Hank Parker. And he's Dale Earnhardt.
Sometimes. Impersonating a fisherman. That's pretty neat to catch a big fish like that off that same hole. And I had just thrown in there.
Hank's Show has been brought to you in part by Berkeley Tri-Lead, super strong fishing line. Delco Voyager available at Kmart. The quality you need, the price you want. Humminbird, absolutely brilliant technology. Tangle-free Johnson reels, cast a country mile. A good deal on a great tire. Kelly Tires. Minn Kota, the quiet power that catches fish. Ranger Boats, we still building one at a time. And by Abu Garcia. Mercury Outboards. Polaroid. And Sparkle Scales Fish Formula.
The house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hey, this is Earl. You think you could get me Dale's autograph?
Gone fishing.
That's pretty neat to catch a big fish like that off that same hole. And I had just thrown in there.
Hi, I'm Kurt Gowdy, and if you love fishing as much as I do, then the new Bass Pro Shop Spring Fever Sale Catalog is a must. It puts you right in the middle of the largest selection of name brand fishing and sporting goods at the lowest prices anywhere, including Bass Pro exclusives and tracker boats. What's new, what's hot, it's all here. Just call 1-800-BASS-PRO and get your money-saving copy absolutely free. And you don't even have to get out of your easy chair.
Hi, I'm Dan Miller.
And I'm Lisa Foster. This week we'll hear from John and Rhonda Davidson, singer J.D. Hart, and Marty Stewart, and spend some time with T. Graham Brown and wrap up the week with K.T. Osmond.
So join us all this week on American Magazine.
You're flying high as the sun shines bright, looking down, searching left and right. Seeing all this country at its very best. You've got America and Eagle above all the rest.
All Eagle sonars are built to last right here in the good old USA. Eagle above all the rest.
Hello there, folks. If you like to ski or want to learn, have we got a contest for you? It's our 4th annual Ski Rendezvous for Two contest. You could win a trip for two to beautiful Crested Butte, Colorado. To enter, send a postcard with your name and address to World of White, P.O. Box 12, Nashville, Tennessee, 37202. Enter by February 10th, and you may be a lucky skier. For more details about the contest, watch me on Country Clips Saturday right here on TNN.
A tribute to Ernest Tubb. Thanks, Troubadour. Thanks. Friday on TNN.
Bill Dance Outdoors is brought to you by Walmart. Low prices on the brands you trust, always. By Daiwa, rods and reels made for each other. Ranger boats, we still build them one at a time. By Minn Kota, the quiet power that catches fish. Eagle, above all the rest. And by Strike King Lure Company, manufacturers of the world's #1 spinner baits.
Here's America's best-known fisherman, Bill Dance.
Fishing for crappie? Well, head for cover. These rascals love to hang out in cover, such as weeds, bushes, stumps, as long as the depth is to their liking. So find some cover, then watch your depth finder for a break. A sudden change in depth. That's where you'll find crappie. Looking for a break on everything you need for crappie fishing? Ultralight combos, jigs, eagle claw hooks? Look for Walmart, where you'll always find the low price on the brands you trust. Always.
Quiet. That's the reason I use Minn Kota trolling motors. But I never used foot pedals until they invented this power drive motor with its micro-touch remote control. Now I can stand on both feet and run my Minn Kota power drive with a touch of my toe. Hey, that's a breakthrough in bass boat control. The Minn Kota power drive is a remote control motor I've wanted for a long time, with the quiet power that catches fish.
In recent tests, Mercury Bass engines placed first in top speed, acceleration, and fuel efficiency. Proof that we build engines for two types of fishermen. Those who love to win, and those who hate to lose.
Three things we're mighty proud of at Bill Dance Outdoors: our association with Walmart, our educational videos that teach you the how, when, and where of fishing crankbaits, spinnerbaits, and plastic worms, as well as other videos on other species and different techniques. Only $8.96 each. And how about these new polarized Pro Blocker sunglasses with side shield and lanyard for only $7.56? Both are available in the sporting goods department at Walmart, where you find the low price on the brands you trust. Always. Here below lies the Big O, Lake Okeechobee, located here in southern Florida. This massive sprawling body of liquid covers over 700 square miles of aquatic-laden shallow water with an average depth of 5 to 7 feet and helps supply water to more than 4 million folks from West Palm Beach to Miami, plus supports a billion-dollar agricultural industry and a sport fishing industry that produces over 700 million bucks annually, according to Florida state officials. Lake Okeechobee is the second largest freshwater lake located entirely within the continental United States. And to many bass anglers, it's one of the most productive bodies of water in North America in terms of volume of water for the amount of fish in it. And the type lake that can make you frown with fear, because she can be mighty dangerous. Big winds that accompany frequent afternoon thunderstorms can turn her into a small ocean very quickly. And it's the kind of lake you can easily get lost on, both from a fishing and a navigational standpoint. The Big O can be almost impossible for many anglers to learn by themselves, and hiring a guide is a good bet, especially if you're unfamiliar with certain areas. This February day, our cameras focus in on not only one of my favorite times of the year to be here, but one of my favorite techniques for catching Okeechobee largemouth, wading the shallows and fishing on top.
Get it. There he is. Where is he going? Whoop, 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 whoop. Ooh, ooh. Ah, you big dog. Showed yourself, didn't you? Huh? Get one. Easy, 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 easy. Easy. I'll get a hook in my hand. That was just perfect.